What's going on everyone, TomGorian here and welcome back to a brand new league racing video. Finally, for the first time in what's felt like ages, we're back for another episode of the F1 22 League Racing Series. Today we are getting ready for round number 17 of the RFL Season 8 Championship. It's the Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring, a very technical and tight circuit. In this championship, we've got pretty much 8 races left until the end of Season 8. Talks are already beginning for Season 9, so if you're interested in joining the league, interested in racing for Season 9, I'll put all the links in the description. Twitch, Twitter, Discord, and pretty much everything that you need to know as far as RFL Season 9. But today we're getting ready for round 17 of the RFL Season 8 championship here in Hungary. Practice went okay, if I do remember. Like the setup just didn't feel as consistent as I thought it would be, considering as well with dynamic weather. I think usually when I practice, we usually practice with clear weather and realistic, but with dynamic it's quite different with track temperature and how it really affects the tyre temperature and most importantly the time of the lap as well. So the expectation for this race is top 5, of course, with obviously TMS Sora racing. He's been on a roll recently, but as you can see, a first lap we do pretty much an 16.5, and in practice we were doing like 16.2s. So hopefully with this lap coming up, we can hopefully nail a 16.2. We are behind Shot Metal, Angelo, and also I think Vapid as well, as we also begin our lap in towards turn 1. We go. This is pretty much our final run of qualifying in this session for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Turn 2 go a little bit wide, but it's a lot about the exit in towards turn 3 flat out, and we're slightly improving, not really by much though, as we head in towards the tighter sector 2 right now, entering the fast left-hander, and we're green sector 1, so that's pretty much a good start. In towards the chicane, 3rd gear, and then slight lift off in towards 4th, and then stay on the right hand side in towards the tighter part of the lap. And for some reason, just this was the sector that the lap really fell apart. Entering 6th gear, went a little bit wide there, and that is where I slowly started to lose all the time. Messed up that corner as well. I was supposed to take a lot of curb as well, but in sector 3 just the tyres went off, the front tyres, they really went off in towards the final corner. Went a little bit wide there, not the best qualifying lap, and we were 1.5 tenths up, but we are pretty much less than a tenth down. So we're going to be starting this qualifying session in 5th place behind Angelo, Shot Metal, Vapid and Sora as well. Not a good qualifying session for Scott as well, the championship rival of Vapid, and you're going to be seeing a lot of Scott into this in this video because something does happen in this race between Scott and Vapid. But the expectation of this race, just make the first lap and then just try and go from there. Obviously the sprint race is coming up. We've got 5 red lights for the RFL sprint race in Hungary, and there's lights out and away we go. For the Hungarian Grand Prix, Shotmail doesn't get a good start at all, and we jump him. It's nearly 3 wide between Angelo, Vapid and Sora in towards turn 1. We're going to try and go around the outside of Angelo. Of course, we're going to leave him enough room, and we're just going to play the long game here as far as making the first lap and then trying to just react as to what happens in this sprint race. But Vapid and Sora going side by side. Vapid takes the lead from Sora, but Sora's going to try and fight back in towards the uphill, in towards sector 2, but he doesn't. So we're in 4th place right now. We're in a good position in this sprint race, and as I've said again, we're going to try and just stay here, and if the cars ahead make a mistake or they spin or they go wide, we're going to try and capitalise on this opportunity. But because this circuit is very tough to overtake on, and there's really 1 or 2 straights to overtake, the setup is quite high for downforce and not really that fast for straight line speed. So entering the final corner, Angelo has a very quick setup for straight line speed. Across line we go, and we qualify 4th place in this sprint race. Finns gets 5th place with Scott in 6th place. Vapid gets 2 points in the RFL sprint race, so that's an extra 2 points in this championship battle between him and Scott as we enter the last quarter of the season. So getting ready for the start of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Everyone's pretty much doing the same strategy, well, most of them are, from mediums to hards, and then obviously if the safety car does come out, then it's probably going to be a second set of mediums or an early set of hards for this race. So if we can get a podium, I think that would be a great result for us as a team. We need every point we can get as we enter the last stage of this RFL Season 8 Championship. It's lights out and away we go for the Hungarian Grand Prix. A very slow start as well compared to Angelo, Vapid and Sora, and also Scott as well. I wasn't really happy with how the start went for me. Entering turn 1, Sora takes the lead. Angelo in 2nd place. Going to go around the outside of Scott, but Scott has better traction. He's going to try and go on the inside of Vapid, and Vapid makes a late move once again, which has to block Scott as we enter turn 3 downhill in towards sector number 2. But yeah, not really happy with that start. I have to be honest. But we're down in 5th place, and Scott and Vapid and Angelo and Sora is in the lead. So pretty much what you're going to see in this video is the damage that DRS trains can do in a race like this, on a circuit like this, because Angelo was ahead of Vapid, Scott, myself and Kirby. And by the way, well, shout out to Kirby as well, he did a good job in this race. First VSC of this race, lap 3, you could say I could have boxed. I could have really done a very unique strategy, going on lap 3, going on to hard tyres, and then effectively I would have pretty much done an early pit stop. But the question is, would have the hards lasted literally 30 plus laps around here if there wasn't a safety car? Comparing my setup to Scott, out of the 5 of us who are usually quick, I'd say that Scott is always the one who runs the lowest amount of wings, and as you can see, the exit he gets is just mental. But for this race, I didn't really know how much I could get away with how low I could run on the wings. So my setup is really around about, I'd say 40, 45, 44, maybe even, no, I think it's lower than that, I think it's 44, 43, as we get our first warning of this race. And the goal of this part of the race is just to keep with Scott and Vapid and Angelo, stick to the DRS, and just hopefully they don't hold us up, as Vapid on lap 11 gets a time penalty, and that could be really effective in this race. If the race ends as it is right now, we're pretty much in P4, so we're going to try and overtake Scott as Vapid tries to overtake Angelo at the exit of 1 downhill into 2. They're going to be side by side in towards turn 2. Angelo will have the inside line, but Vapid will have the momentum in towards turn 3. He'll have the inside line for 3. Bit of contact between the Ferrari and the Williams, and Vapid Koot is in 2nd place for this RFL Hungarian Grand Prix. Scott tries to go down the inside in towards the fast left-hander, but there's no room there, and we are just holding on for desperation in this race. So now it's lap 13 out of 15, and we're still stuck in this train. Sora has pretty much gotten away. I think he's built a 3-4 second gap between us, and now we're going to have to react. We're going to have to try and win this race or get in the podium thanks to our strategy. So Scott and us are pretty much doing the undercut, and in practice we pretty much realised that the undercut is quite powerful around here as long as you're not getting held up. So hopefully Scott doesn't hold us up, because this could make or break our race. 2.3 second pit stop for the fresh hard tyres, and Scott is ahead. That's not what we wanted. Scott is ahead. So now coming out the pit lane, Checo in the Aston Martin, who's not even in our race, he's now ahead as well. So that's very worrying as far as this race is concerned, because now not only do we have to deal with Scott, we now have to deal with Checo as we come around to start lap 15. There's Vapid. Vapid is now into turn 1. The overcut slightly worked, but Vapid will have colder tyres than the other two, so Scott will try and go around the outside. It's going to be Scott versus Vapid in towards turn 2. There's going to be contact, I know there is. At this point in time, I'm just trying to react, I'm just trying to stay out of harm's way, and Scott gets the position over Vapid. I'm furious at this point because Scott has now pretty much made the undercut work. He's jumped Vapid and I haven't, so now I have to suffer. And as you can see, look at it, I'm pushing Vapid in towards sector 2, and as you can see once again, this is where it's really getting bad. Checo is pretty much holding Scott, which is holding me and Vapid up, which is now giving Angelo more time to do the overcut. And as you'll see, around about now, there's Angelo pretty much ahead of Scott and Vapid. Vapid goes down the inside, 3 wide nearly, in towards turn 1. I'm losing so much time. Angelo has jumped all of us. He's now still in second place. Scott and Vapid are going side by side. Something's going to happen here. I know there is. Scott's on the inside, Vapid's now going to be inside for turn 3, and there's a little bit of contact, and Vapid's around! Vapid span! The two championship rivals have crashed on lap 16 of the Hungarian Grand Prix. At this moment in time, I was in the party, I was going nuts, because I'm thinking Vapid has crashed, and he's out, but he's not. Vapid is so lucky. All he got was a damaged front wing, so with the safety car coming in, or the coming out, all Vapid had to do was literally come in, change the front wing, and go for a fresh set of medium tyres. And now, that's going to take him pretty much to the end of the race, as long as he doesn't spin or crash. And pretty much now, he'll have the tyre advantage over all of us. So, the safety car restart on the beginning of lap 19. Of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Vapid is pretty much behind, I think, Checo, I think, or Osheks. So he's in 9th. But now, we're going to try and overtake Scott, but this race has now been turned on its head. The two championship rivals, who were separated by 25 points with 8 races to go, have now just crashed. And as you can see, Vapid has now jumped Osheks. Is now behind us, so now it's very crucial that we get past Scott and we try and make a run at Angelo, but it's going to be very hard to overtake Angelo because he's got lower wings than us and he's just so quick in a straight line. We can't even catch him, but open up the DRS, slipstream, overtake, and we overtake Scott right there for 4th place in this RFL Hungarian Grand Prix, but Scott's not really our issue, it's Vapid. Vapid has a time penalty, yes, but he's on the fresh medium tyres. So, we're going to see if we can try and extend the gap to Vapid and maybe try and get in Angelo's DRS. As Vapid tries to go around the outside, he backed off, pretty much. So, lap 26, 10 laps to go of this Hungarian Grand Prix. We're going to slightly defensive, we're going to use our ERS, but here comes Vapid down the inside. I was expecting him to force me wide or something, but he just gives us enough room. And the lucky son of a bitch, he just about overtook us right before the VSC, so I didn't want to give up track position, but I had to. That's really annoying. That's really annoying how Vapid literally overtook me right before the VSC came out, and yeah, that was pretty much the story of our race. I was trying to hold on to Vapid. Angelo was slightly holding him up as we enter the final stages of lap 31. I pulled away from Scott and also Kirby, as well. As you can see round about now, Vapid is really all over Angelo. I do have DRS, but it's not going to be enough. Vapid's going to go down the inside of Angelissimo for 4th. Is that 4th? No, it's 3rd. It's 3rd place in this race. The two are going side by side, and once again, I'm just trying to mind my own business, just leave enough room to make sure that if something does happen between Angelo and Vapid, that I don't get any damage, as the two are going side by side up in towards the fast left-hander. Angelo backs out, Vapid goes a little bit wide, but Vapid takes P3 in this Hungarian Grand Prix with 3 laps to go, and now it's just a matter of staying within the DRS, staying within that 3-second window, and we'll get 4th place. TMS Sora wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. and it's a bit of a shame because no one challenged him. Angelo pretty much held him up, and because of that safety car, Metal literally got a free pit stop, and that got him second place. Fappen on track will finish third, but because of his penalty, Angelo will get third, will finish fourth. It's another race where we didn't make a mistake or anything, and yeah, it's a decent result, fourth place. We've closed the gap to Williams in the Constructors, and yeah, on to Canada next week.